How do you feel about money? That's a hot topic when we talk about money. Either we never have enough, we're always working hard for it, we don't know where the next dollar is going to come from. There's another way. There's absolutely another way to build a different relationship with your money, because our relationship with our money has a huge impact on the health of our well-being. So we want to have a real healthy relationship with our finances in order to have a real healthy relationship with ourselves and our well-being. Is really important. And the guest co-host I have tonight, we're going to have just a candid, open conversation. We're going to talk about experiences with money and how the money and the law of attraction can work together. So, hello everybody. My name is Penny Peddie, and welcome to the Hangout with Penny Show, episode 72. Yep, episode 72. I'm so excited about that. And why I began these Hangouts, and it was just for a couple of reasons. And one especially was because I wanted to educate people on the law of attraction, because I love the law of attraction. I love, once I learned how to use it deliberately in my life, the results and how my life started to change. I wanted to share that. And this was a great platform, and I just wanted to be able to inspire you and uplift you and help change your thinking about a few things. And that's why I started these shows. So thank you. Many people have been making the Hangout with Penny a weekly habit. So I'm a Friday night show, 8 p.m. Eastern, but many of you are watching me Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons, or you're watching the recording. So thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead now, and for those of you that have been watching me for the last 71 episodes, you know one of my favorite things to do is to lead up with a glass of wine and cheers everybody. And so tonight I have a nice Naked Grape Rosé. So cheers to everybody. And for those of you that this is the first time watching, you'll soon learn that this is one of my favorite things to do. So cheers to all of you. And before that's quite nice. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, do you see that? I have a crack in my glass. I did a show about that. Episode 70, you want to go check episode 70. I talked about the cracked plate. This is proof right here that there's more good coming to my life. That's it. Go watch episode 70 and you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, but right now I'm going to read what people were saying for episode 71, which was last week. And it's, what did I do to deserve this? That was the topic of last week's show. So Monique Jackson, she's from Texas, and she says, hi, Penny. I love how you brought out to not stay in the energy of what did I do to deserve this, but reach for a better feeling thought. I so agree that sometimes we are fulfilling someone else's intention. Thank you. Thank you, Monique. Dana Smithers in Vancouver, she says, such a great topic, Penny Peddie. I get asked this question a lot, and I must admit on occasion, I find myself wondering just exactly how did I attract this? And my friend Paola Locatelli from Italy, she says, hi, Penny. Yes, I was in London with my sister and nephews, and we had fun. I started the week with your hangout to have good vibes. Oh, thanks, Paola. I love the topic. We are aware we feel good when, oh, let me do that again. We are aware we feel good, and then something happens that is not so good, and we question ourselves. But your suggestion was great. Maybe it is to help someone else be more aware. Maybe the bad is not so bad after all, because then when the good comes, we appreciate it even more. Thank you, Penny, for another great topic and your lovely energy. Have a great week. Love and blessings. Thank you, Paola. And I'll read two more. My dear friend Tana Marshall from California, she says, wow, great show, Penny Peddie. I'm glad you honored yourself and took time off last week and shared your experience with us this week. You gave us a great new perspective on the unwanted things that sometimes happen and showed us how to put a more positive spin on them to raise your vibes. You are an inspiration. Thank you, my friend. And I'm going to read one more. Harris T from Greece. So he actually threw in a quote that I said, and he said, If everything was always good, we wouldn't always be able to experience how good is, because sometimes we would just take it for granted. I really love this show, Penny. I love how you handled your mini setback. Most people would have reacted in a very, very, very different way. I love your approach on this. Sometimes stuff happens, and that's okay. So reaching for a better feeling thought is always the way to go. Good job. Thank you for this episode. I needed it. Thank you, Harris. These comments are what just really keep me going, because I really wanted to be able to inspire people, and looks like I'm doing it. I'm just going to read a couple more comments, and then we're going to meet Lorraine. Tana Marshall, she says, oh, I love the law of attraction and money. Can't wait for the show. I'll have to watch the recording tomorrow, but I know you and Lorraine will have a great show. Cheers, Penny. And hang out with Jamie, my friend Jamie Smith. Great topic. Deborah O'Rourke, she says, looking forward to the show. Show me the money. I love that. So anybody watching right now, you feel free to make your comments. And I see we have many viewers right now. So let's get to the star of the show. Lorraine, come on out. Tell people who you are, where you live, what do you do?
Hi, Penny. Thanks. Hi, everybody watching. Well, first I have to say that I would be showing my wine glass like you, except I can't get my time zone down. So I've had 2 glasses of wine under my belt already, thinking the show was about to start. So now I'm on to my water bottle so that we could keep your show nice and professional like. So I am Lorraine Peters, and I'm a certified law of attraction facilitator, and it's so nice to hear all the people writing in comments to you, Penny. I mean, it's obvious everybody loves you, as do I. You're very inspirational, and I'm happy to say that I am a law of attraction trainer just like you. So I'm a wellness expert, and that's why I'm so excited tonight to talk about money, because, you know, when we think of wellness or well-being, it's kind of gotten to be a catchphrase, and so we think of physical fitness and paying attention to food and exercise, but we don't think about all the other things that well-being or wellness encompasses, which is social connectedness, a sense of being a part of something bigger than yourself, and then of course physical well-being falls into that, and you know, food, spirituality, but you know, finances is a big piece of the wellness puzzle that a lot of people don't focus on. They might be in great shape, they might focus on eating good food, and then their finances are in shambles, which makes them feel negative and miserable. So that's not a nice big well-being picture that we'd like to see. And so from a law of attraction perspective, I was so excited to very quickly agree, you and I, on talking about money.
Me too. I said, Lorraine, what do you want to talk about? How about money? Okay, because it is such a vital part. In today's day and age, we really do need money to be able to, for one thing, the more money that we can generate, the more it's all an ebb and flow. So we're going to have our ups and we're going to have our downs. But when we can accept money and love money and really know the importance of money, because the more we have, the more we can share, the more we give, and the more we give, the more we share, the more we're helping others. And it's such a great way. And when we can do that from a place of abundance, because many times it's like, oh, I would like to give, but I can't afford it right now. And so what does that do to our well-being, Lorraine? Like, it can make us feel less than sometimes.
Yeah, you feel like you're not measuring up. You know, let's face it, money can mean freedom, and different amounts of money mean different things to everybody, right? Like, not everybody needs or feels like they have to have millions to be happy, but whatever the point is, everybody's different, but it means freedom. So freedom to do the things you want to do, freedom to feel like you can give some of it away to charity or to help out. So money equals a sense of freedom for people. And we need it. You know, we need money. And, you know, money is attached to so many beliefs that are so old in our mind, because they probably started at childhood, that we really do think our thoughts and beliefs around money is the way it is.
And I don't know how many people I've heard where there's been something come up in their life, like maybe an occasion that they wanted to go to or something, and they didn't go because they couldn't afford to take that extra time off work, because it's like right down to the cent that they are, and they don't have anything extra. So if they take that one day off, now they're behind, and it's like, oh my gosh. So you just said, like, the freedom. Where's the freedom? We want to be able to change our thoughts around that. We do have the ability, using our thoughts, using the principles behind the law of attraction, we have the ability to create more abundance and more money. And just like you said, Lorraine, it's a different amount for everybody. So, you know, some people, they're not satisfied until they're like $10 million range, right? But maybe some $10,000 or even $1,000. It would be a huge difference in their life, which would be a huge difference in their well-being.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, all of what we're talking about so far comes back to, you know, the very basics of the law of attraction, you know, focusing on what it is you want, right? Focusing on your desire. And it might take people who are new to the law of attraction a little bit point, but taking money out of the equation. And I know that some people who are in this concept, that might sound far-fetched, but focusing on getting clear about what you want versus how you're going to get it, because money into the equation. If there's something that people want to do in their life and they hang this big old price tag on it and they go, oh my God, I'll never be able to do that, because they can't even imagine where that money would come from, that blocks their ability to ever have it come into their life.
Absolutely. And another thing is this: I cannot afford to take any time off work because I'm saving for my retirement. But for me, it's like, if you're loving what you're doing already, who wants to retire from it? If we can have so much fun, right? Because so many people have worked, and I personally know people, and this is why I'm saying that. I personally know someone very close to me, worked and worked and worked and worked and worked, waiting, building their dream home, waiting to move into their dream home, sacrificed so much, and died. Never did get to move into their dream home.
I call that delayed happiness, and that makes me so sad when I hear people doing that. I know there's people close to me that have, 15 years more to work or something like that, and every day is a countdown to retirement before they can, not be miserable every day, right? Counting down the days and how much they have in their RSPs and waiting to retire, and then, get cancer, die, or spend many years really, really sick. That delayed happiness makes me more sad than anything. And again, that is all about money, right? Doing things they don't want to right now because they think they have to for some glory down the road, the big payoff down the road that may never come.
Oh, Lorraine, I was in a job. It was a job that just really wasn't suited for me. I was destined to do something different. So I was unhappy in the job I was in. Mind you, after I left, of course, I took a big reduction. Yeah. in my finances, because I started my own. I had to start from scratch, and then I had to my mom got ill, and so I came to look after her. So again, but I'm going to tell you, Lorraine, the difference in my health, I got a little stressed for my mom, but it's a different thing altogether. From the way I felt having to go to work every day, I would be more tired waking up in the morning, and by the time I got to that place, I was like already dragged out. And I thought, there's got to be something better than this. So even though, and my point to this, even though I've earned less money than I did then, my state of well-being is far happier, far happier.
I can relate firsthand, Penny, because what some people might know about me that watch my show or have heard me speak, I was in the corporate world and I was rising up through the ranks, and I was the head of sales and business development for a Bell Alliant company, and you know, a great job, making great money, and in leadership role, you know, leading salespeople. And I was more miserable by the day. The more responsibility they gave me, the higher up the rungs I could see that I could go, the more miserable I became. And there was just this moment of corporate restructuring where that met my knowing that I could no longer continue to do this. I remember sitting at my desk. I had a nice office overlooking the uptown St. John, and I remember saying to myself, Lorraine, somebody has just kicked the door open for you a tiny bit. You need to take it. And I bolted. My position was downsized. I said, don't feel like you need to make a space for me here. I'm going to go. And I took a huge pay cut. And I sat in a rocking chair in my living room for 6 months, just asking myself, what do you want to do? And that was all. And after 6 months, motivate and inspire people to be the best they can be was my answer. It doesn't sound very glamorous, but I knew that was my path. And so there was this point of knowing that I don't know how I'm going to make a living, but I need to take this opportunity and allow it to unfold. It takes a lot of guts to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen to yourself close enough and you don't let the fear of money scare you from listening to your gut, you will make the right decision 100% of the time. But people have themselves backed into corners with money. They feel like they have no choices, but they really do.
Okay, so for these people that are watching right now, or they're going to be watching the recording, and they're like, okay, so give me some suggestions. What can I do right now? I'm looking at my bills right now. I'm looking at what is. So what can I do about it? So Lorraine, let's help our viewers. So let's give a few suggestions using the law of attraction. What do you have as one tip?
You know, I didn't have the tool then, but I'll tell you, the first thing I would whip out now, Penny, is the clarity through contrast worksheet, right? What do you want? You know, people don't know what they want. People think they do, but then when you ask them for their little elevator pitch, you know, what is it that you want in 30 seconds or less, they'll be stammering all over the place. Most people can't tell you with any degree of clarity what they want. And before I was the law of attraction trainer, the way I used to describe this to people when we would be having just these kinds of conversations, I would say, how is the universe supposed to lock onto you if you don't even know what you want?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So putting it in the context of the law of attraction, you have to get really clear on what it is you want. And that worksheet that takes you through the exercise of, let's talk about everything you know you don't want. And if you're in a state of misery, either with your job or your financial situation, you know now what you don't want. You don't want to be poor. You don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck. You don't want to be unable to do things with your children or other families or whatever the case may be. You know what you don't want.
Exactly. And Lorraine, yeah, before I let you continue, that is where we stop, right? We stop at that stage. It's like, without the awareness of, I don't know how to change this. So carry on.
Yeah. So, you know, once you have that list of, you know, ideally the more contrast you can have, the better. The more things you can come up with that you don't like about your situation, that's going to give birth to what you do want. And when you start to focus on what you do want rather than what you don't want, that's when stuff really starts to percolate and get real. And that's the beginning of the manifestation process. And that's when people start to see things fall in line in ways that they could never predict. That's the thing that I hope people get out of this more than anything, is that you and I both, we know, because we talked about it before we went live, we've been there, we've had money problems. Everybody who is of any age at all can relate to this topic. But when you start to use the formula of the law of attraction and see proof that you don't have to be a prisoner to this, to money problems, you can get yourself out of it. And in reality, with not as much hard work as you would expect, because that's another limiting belief that if you're going to be successful, if you're going to have all the money that you want or need, you're going to have to work hard for it. It's going to be painful. That is not necessarily the truth.
That is so true. And sometimes, like, even when I was working, it's like I just said, you know what? I could really use an extra $500 a month. You know, I wanted a little more spending. I could really use an extra $500 a month. And that's all I said. I didn't say I want to do this. I just said, you know, I really want to get $500 more a month. Next thing you know, this opportunity came into my life, and I was doing parties and so forth, and I was getting sometimes $500 a night. And it's just like, where did that come from? Hey, I asked for it. Right? So I have had this over and over and over in my life to know that when you ask for something, instead of saying, well, I don't want this to continue, you know what's going to happen there, right, Lorraine? That very thing is going to continue. So we live in a world of dichotomy. So what do you want? If this is what's going on right now, what's the polar opposite of that? That's the one you want to focus on then.
That's right. And that's what, you know, people think, because they're saying, I don't want to be poor and I'm not going to live like this anymore. And, you know, they think in their mind that they're stating vehemently, you know, I'm going to change this. But what they're really doing is drawing more attention to the poverty, or to the lack, or to the everything they don't have. That's what they're drawing more attention to. Rather, like in my house, it's forbidden to say I can't afford. Not even in the context of a general conversation. We don't use that phrase.
Okay, so that is such a popular phrase. We hear it all the time.
Yeah.
I can't afford this, I can't afford that. So help us reword that to, because I mean, right now we're looking at our bank account, we're looking at our wallet. We can't afford to go on that date night, or we can't afford to go on. So what do we do to switch those words around?
Yeah. So a good example, you know, my husband is, I'll call him a property manager. He owns his own properties that he rents out. So he owns a lot of apartment buildings between the city I live in and another one. So he has a fair amount of buildings. So let's just say he was looking at one that was like really, really grand. Like, let's just say $1 million. And he may say, I can't afford that. I'm like, what you would say, or what I would make him say is, ideally, I will be able to have this building in such and such a time down the road, or we just don't say I can't afford. That automatically, you know how that feels when you say I can't afford, you feel that right in your gut. You know, I don't have to tell you, oh, that's a negative vibe. People darn well know it's a negative vibe because they feel it immediately. I can't afford reeks of lack and hopelessness. And so that's all they're going to continue to attract. So phrases like ideally put things in a way that feel okay to your body. It doesn't reject it as a negative. It feels hopeful and positive and possible.
And possible.
Possible.
Yes, and possible. Because ideally, once we can understand how this universal law of attraction, when everything is energy, and we have the ability to create, and we're going to create that lifestyle whichever way you want to go, the lack mentality lifestyle or the abundance mentality lifestyle. And when we can start realizing the little things add up to the big things. So if someone, you know, if you're thinking, oh, I can't afford to go out for dinner tonight, change the thought to, ideally, next week I'll go out for dinner, or however you want to change that. You know, ideally, that I would really like to go out for dinner, and I would really like to have the shrimp and steak. And you can just leave it at that, right? And next thing you know, you could be invited to your friends for supper, and maybe you're going to get steak, and you'd be like, hey, right? So it doesn't, like when you said earlier, take money out of the equation.
Yeah. Take money out of the equation, and you know, as far-fetched as that may sound to somebody, I hope they go back and listen for a second time. Focus on what you want, and I'll give you a fresh example of this. This week, 2 days ago, I did a law of attraction seminar, and I had an excellent turnout. And a local greenhouse had donated a whole lot of indoor plants for each of the tables. There were probably 15 tables with 5 people each at it. And so at the end, because I was the keynote speaker, so I was the very last. It was the end of the day. I was packing up my things, and the organizer was drawing tickets. She said, "We're going to draw tickets for these beautiful plants that are on the table." And so I glanced over, and my eye happened to catch this beautiful plant. I can't even just tell you what the name of it is, but it's very nice. And I was observing the plant, saying to myself, "Oh, I really like that plant. I'd love to have it." And then I went about my business of packing up my stuff and listening to them draw names, and people are excited. They're winning these plants. I turn around just to have this woman coming towards me with her arms outstretched with this very plant, the one out of many, but the one I was observing that I liked and I would like to have. She says, "I want you to have this plant because I love the seminar so much. It's my way of saying thank you." Do you think I said, "Oh, no, that's okay"? No, I did not. I said, "Thank you very much." That is the same with money. You just have to focus, observe, pretend, think about
And say
what it
yes.
is you want.
When someone says, "Let me treat you today,"
Yes.
what's our first instinct? "Oh no, I'll get my own."
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah.
Say
No,
yes.
say thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Lorraine, we're almost to the end of our 30 minutes. So I want you to come back out with a final word, but I really do, because you're going to be talking all about this on your Hangout show. So I want you to because I mean, we've only touched on just a fraction of this. So I want people to be able to watch your show too, and learn some more, because I know you have a great Hangout show. So that's good. So this is the Hangout with Penny Show, episode 72. I just want to let you know, thank you, by the way. I just want to give a shout out to the Twitter followers that I've been receiving. There's many of you that watch and you post on Twitter. I really don't do much on Twitter, but I have started to go in a little bit, and more people are following me on Twitter. So I thank you very much for that. I see my YouTube subscribers are building, and I also have the Law of Attraction Center, Penny's Law of Attraction Center. In there, talking about abundance, I have 7 tips for greater abundance in there. You're just going to see it along the menu on the left-hand side. Go down to 7 tips. And there's 7 tips in there on how you can start right today, starting to change your thoughts about money, and how we can start creating those different thoughts, because it's going to start once we can change that feeling about how we feel about, and that is possible. Like Lorraine just said, it's possible. It is possible. We can tell you story upon story upon story about how people have changed from hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to being able to come out of it and live happy and healthy, and being able to share that. And anyway, so there's some tips in there for you. Next week is here in Canada, we celebrate Easter. Or many of us celebrate Easter, so I won't have a show next Friday, because it'll be Good Friday, but I'll be back the week after. So Lorraine, come back out, share with us your show, and when people how they can find you, and when it's going to be, and yeah, and final words for our viewers.
Great, thanks, Penny. Well, I guess my final words on money would be that it's not up to you to figure out where the money is going to come from or how it's going to come to you. It's up to you to get really clear on what it is you want, and leave the rest up to the law of attraction. And, you know, my show is Hangout with Lorraine, and you can, access my previous shows through my website, hangoutwithlorraine.com. My show is on every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. So I will be on next week per usual, and I think I'm going to keep this topic of money going. I'll pick up maybe where we left off tonight. So yeah, hangoutwithlorraine.com. Thursday, 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time.
Okay,
Yeah.
we need to get that clear. At Atlantic Standard Time. So right now at Eastern time, it's 8:30 p.m. What time is it where you are now? 9:30 p.m.
9:30. Yes.
Okay.
Nobody needs to get more clear on that than me.
Okay, well, listen, thank you very much, Lorraine. I really appreciate you being here. This has been, that just like flew by. I know we could have gone a whole hour, but
yeah.
So, but I'll leave that for your show. And so thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for, again, continuing to support me and send your comments. And just, I enjoy your company on Friday nights. And thank you so much. So that'll conclude this episode of the Hangout with Penny Show. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you, everybody. Good night.